Welcome to Central News for Tuesday 25th of June. I'm Amy Forrest. In today's news, a local police officer and his best friend have won the national title of Police Patrol Dog Champions. Senior Constable Derek Orchard and his dog Turk competed against the top 10 police dog teams in the country at Trentham. Derek says Turk and himself have bonded well, which gives them an advantage.
We won the New Zealand Police National Patrol Dog Championships held in Trentham, and we did so by scoring consistently in all the skills and tests that were necessary to prove that we're the top team.
Tauranga is the best city for giving when it comes to giving blood. The Tauranga branch of New Zealand Blood Service has the highest number of regulars. Anne-Marie, nurse team leader Collections Tauranga, says she has a great bunch of staff and their branch is constantly the top branch in New Zealand.
Tauranga has the highest return rate of donors, and by that I mean our donors return 2 to 3 times a year, as opposed to once or twice a year.
Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, Wednesday for you will be fine apart from morning cloud and light winds. Your expected high is 14 and an overnight low of 3. Tauranga, you will also have a fine day with morning frost and light winds. Your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 7. Just ahead, the police's perspective on longer hours for Mount Bars. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. A new alcohol policy may see bars in the wider Western Bay area have their licence hours extended to 3 a.m. The policy is a joint agenda by the Tauranga City Council and the Western Bay of Plenty Council, but the police are not welcoming the proposed extended hours.
Are the police welcoming the idea of extended opening hours in the Western Bay of Plenty area?
So I guess it's important to know the context of the extended hours changes that they're looking at the moment in our local alcohol plan. It is just a draft at the moment, and it has gone out for consultation to the community and to the other services like the police and health. The police proposal is that we wouldn't like to see the hours extended. In fact, we'd like to see the hours reduced. At the moment, the closing times in Western Bay are around 3 a.m. on the Tauranga side and 1 a.m. on the Mount Maunganui side. We would like to see that remain or reduce. The whole idea with the new Act is to reduce or to minimise the harm of alcohol, and we believe that any extended hours or extending the hours in any area would increase the harm of alcohol to the community.
Will this mean more work and possibly more staff for police?
Well, I think more importantly, what it would mean would be probably more harm to the community, more victims of alcohol-related violence and disorder. Policing is policing. We will do what we need to do, but we are very victim-focused, and if we can reduce the number of alcohol-related victims in the community, that's really our aim.
From a policing perspective, does a one-way door policy work?
Yes, there is a lot of evidence from our perspective that one-way door policies are very effective in curbing alcohol-related harm. It mitigates migration between bars, especially near the hours where people have already been in bars for long periods of time. They've consumed a lot of alcohol. They've got to the stage where they're either thinking about going home or sometimes moving to another bar. We would prefer that they went home.
How bad is that drinking problem in the CBD?
Well, I think really it's not a Tauranga problem, it's a community problem. We have a binge drinking culture in New Zealand, and I don't think anyone would deny that, and that is why some of the changes have been made to the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act. Look, it'd be fair to say that we've made big inroads. We do it in collaboration with our partners, the council, health, even the licensees as well. We meet with them. We give their door staff training. We also enforce the management of alcohol-related outlets, and we have made some big gains in Tauranga, especially in the Strand area where you get the majority of people congregating on that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. But I think we can do more, and this is an opportunity for us to do more.
What are the common criminal behaviours that you guys see in the CBD?
Look, it can range from breach of the liquor ban to the most minor breaches of the liquor ban, which we normally enforce by way of warning or take some affirmative action, right through to very serious assaults, sexual assaults, robbery, those sorts of things. So there's a raft of offences that are often alcohol related, and they tend to be geographically located around where the pubs and clubs are as well.
Do you encounter a large amount of people that are drink driving because they're drinking in the mountain, wanting to get those last couple of hours in Tauranga of drinking? Yes, we do. We do have some migration from Mount Maunganui to Tauranga, but you probably find that those people would have driven anyway, we believe. If they haven't driven back towards Tauranga, they will have been driving in another direction back towards home. So those are people who have actually had too much to drink even when the bars close at 1 o'clock in Mount Maunganui, and make a stupid decision. So I think by leaving the bars open longer, there's only going to be more people making those stupid decisions. The council doesn't want to change any restrictions on industrial areas for having licensed premises. The police are opposing that. Why are you opposing that? Look, industrial areas tend to be quite isolated, or alcohol outlets and licensed on licences in industrial areas tend to be quite isolated, and we find that they don't have the type of capable guardians that you have generally driving past or walking through in relation to other alcohol outlets. So there is a danger there that people can be exposed by being in those isolated areas. In the council's meeting, they have discussed not to restrict the number of bars, taverns and restaurants, licensed restaurants across the sub-region. What are your thoughts on that? Look, it really we don't really have an opinion one way or the other on that. We believe it's more about the geography, where these outlets are located, especially around off licences, you know, proximity to places like to high schools and primary schools. So that's the sort of area that we're more concerned about. Are most bars that you work with cooperative? Yes, they are. By and large, the licensees are very good. We have worked with them over several years to get the relationship we have now. I wouldn't say that it was always like that, but certainly now we have a good relationship with them, and generally they're cooperative about trying to reduce the alcohol-related harm as we are. How do the police try to stop preloading under the city centre night management plan? Well, one of our big gains that we've had around preloading is the closure of the reclamation car park. So that closes at 10 o'clock at night. So we used to get a lot of people congregating there and drinking because they could see the bright lights and listen to the music and still basically enjoy themselves in the car park. But because of the fact that it's closing now, we don't get as much preloading. You can view the policy on either council's website, tauranga.gov.nz, or wbopdc.co.nz. After the break, Barnado's Founders Day. Welcome back. Every year, Barnado supports thousands of children to ensure each child's hopes and needs are nurtured to their full potential. The 4th of July signals the Barnado's Founders Day. I spoke with Michael to find out more. Hi Michael, welcome into the studio. Now tell me about the work that Barnado's does in our region.
Sure. Well, pretty much my role at Barnado's in the Waikato-Maramarapirako region is working with the Child and Family Services. So what we do is we cater for the needs of kids that come through the service from self-referrals or through from DV incidents. So if there is an event that occurs within this region at night or during the day, we get the actual referral coming through the following day, and we help the children work through the kinds of problems they have with domestic violence, sexual abuse, and all the kind of everyday stuff as well, like school issues or health or housing. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we get involved with. Okay. Yeah.
So what are the statistics? How many children each year do Barnado's support on a national scale?
Nationally, we're looking at got the stats here. So nationally, we're looking at 4,223 children who have attended our childcare facilities, which is the kind of environment that I don't necessarily have anything to do with, but that's a big part of the work that Barnardo's does nationally. In terms of the social services, we had 424 people that went through our social workers in schools program. So that's when we have a social worker in schools around the country, and what they do is work with the kids at the actual school environment. Our WhatsApp helpline, 125,000 people. Wow. So that's kids who are calling up the WhatsApp helpline. 821 children went through the contact environment we offer, which is when there is supervised contact required, where the court's order that supervised contact should take place between a child and what we term visiting parent, then we set up that arrangement. So nationally we had 821 of those children go through the system. 1,944 children were involved in our Roots of Empathy program. That's again a program that's a national program. We don't do anything with that in our branch, so but nationally that's the kind of numbers that we're working with. And 646 mums and dads went through our PAFT and HIPPY programs. Again, it's a national program that operates throughout the kind of area. In terms of what we do here in the Waikato-Maramarapyako region, our numbers around 500 kids we've worked with in the last year. Of those 500, we've offered them social work kind of work in terms of the kind of things that they might be experiencing, so supporting them, family support and that kind of thing. About 150 clients have come through for the counselling services that we offer, both in the Waikato and in the Maramarapyako region. Contact, we're on about 50 around there, 50 to 60 kids have come through our service, and we've provided that service so that, as I said before, the visiting parent has the opportunity to see their child in a safe environment. Parenting through separation program as well we offer. So that's those are the kind of national numbers that we're working with. But again, talking to that it's a broad kind of way of me talking to that. But in this region, our numbers are around that 500 kids, let's say, that we've had through our service.
Yeah. Okay. So can you tell me a little bit more about the services that you offer to support families?
Sure. We do a Footsteps Feeling Safe program. So when a child has been either exposed to domestic violence or has been a part of domestic violence, whether that be that they have seen or actually been a participant involved in that process, we offer a 10-week program which is funded by the Ministry of Justice, and that allows the children to go through and do a course to understand the kind of experiences that they've been through, and then to determine a safe plan, if you will, to enable them to get out of the situation by making contact with the police or going to a safe area of their home or going to a neighbour or so on. So that's a program that we do offer. We do parenting through separation as well, so that helps parents understand the kinds of things that they can communicate with their child during that process of separation, which is always quite difficult. And counselling, we do counselling with the kids. As I said, the social work kind of things that we do. Our main referral response is through a process called the FIVIA process, which is when there's a report that the police make, excuse me, when there's some form of domestic violence that has occurred. That report is a document, if you will, that describes the kind of events of that particular incident, and that gets handed out to various agencies, whether that be Barnardo's, whether that be SIFS, police, and a few other government organisations and not-for-profit organisations. We get that trial and then we work with them on whatever their kind of need is. So social work counselling, bread and butter stuff. Contact is the other stuff that we provide. The social work, it could be anything. It just so happens that in our region we work with a lot of the kind of DV stuff. That's just where we've positioned ourselves.
Okay, so branching off a little bit, can you tell us about your support of food in schools?
Yeah, Barnardo's nationally supports food in schools. In terms of what I do here with this area, that's not something that we have had too much down dialogue, if you will, about, but nationally it's an initiative that's clearly supported by Barnardo's. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Barnardo's Founders Day is coming up. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure, yes. It's a day that has been celebrated, obviously, every day, and it celebrates the birth of Dr. Barnardo's, if you will, and it's something that Different sites around the country do different things with, so it might be dressing up, it might be kind of just acknowledging the work that he has done in the past and why we're here and so on. So it's just in recognition of that kind of starting point, if you will, for Barnardo's. So yeah.
To find out more, visit barnardos.org.nz. After the break, PathLab's state-of-the-art tracking system. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. PathLab has become the first pathology service in New Zealand to install a state-of-the-art tracking system in its laboratories to help prevent surgical specimens from being mixed up and patients receiving the wrong diagnosis. Hilary Entwistle went along to the lab to find out about the new technology.
Richard, tell us about the new Cerebro tracking system.
What it does is it protects the integrity of the sample through the laboratory in a way that hasn't been possible before. Laboratories have a lot of complex steps within them, particularly when handling tissue samples, and the specimen integrity is controlled by the diligence of the staff. And human beings are not good at making matching decisions time and time again, particularly when they're trying to concentrate on other duties. And as we've seen, mistakes can happen. We looked at our process and we decided that now with new technology on the market we could address this problem, and we chose over a year ago to install this system.
What are the benefits of this?
Patient safety, first and foremost, and the security of knowing that the risk of making a mistake has been reduced significantly.
Were there difficulties before the introduction of the system?
All laboratories have had events where specimens have been mixed up. There was an audit published last year around some mistakes that resulted in women having unnecessary breast surgery and one woman having unnecessary jaw surgery from around the country in different laboratories. No laboratory is immune to this problem, and no laboratories can say that it won't happen to them.
So can you explain the process of what a specimen will now go through?
Now every component of the specimen, that's the small samples that get processed through to paraffin, to wax, that we then cut into sections, the cassettes and blocks that those samples end up in, the slides that the sections get cut onto that the pathologist actually looks at, all have a unique identifier now, so that the matching is done by the computer system. So at every stage where a match has to be performed, the computer does the matching for the staff, and computers are very, very good at doing that.
This has been introduced into Hamilton and Tauranga PathLabs. Do you think other laboratories around the country will look at it?
Other labs in New Zealand are looking very closely at it. We're aware of one other laboratory that's installing a similar system down in Wellington. We know that other laboratories have looked very closely at it. It's viewed as expensive and a cost. We thought that we couldn't afford not to.
How do you think that the everyday patient will benefit?
On a day-to-day basis, most people won't be aware, because when these mistakes happen, they are devastating and catastrophic and completely unlooked for. And so normally when a mistake happens, the impact on the patient is striking. They think that the system is completely secure. It's our job to make it as secure as we possibly can.
Does Tauranga PathLab do the majority of the hospitals and the private sector's specimens?
In PathLab Bay of Plenty in Tauranga, we do all the laboratory work for the Bay of Plenty. That includes all Tauranga Hospital, Whakatane Hospital, and all the community work, including all the private surgeons. For the Waikato region, PathLab Waikato does all of the community work. That includes the private surgeons, and also there is Laboratory Services Rotorua, but that doesn't have a Cerebro system yet. Matt here is going to demonstrate to us how the embedding station, or at the embedding station, we can match the specimen with the cassette and make sure that there are no mistakes made at this point.
That's right, so here we have a sample case. We've cleverly called it cold power, just to reassure you that there's no patient details being involved in this. But we pick it up and we scan here on a 2D barcode, and you'll see on the screen that is going to bring up the details of this case. So we've got cold power here. It's telling us that it's an amputation and that there's one piece and one block. So then I'd normally proceed with going about my normal embedding here. And then on to the next cassette. So we're looking at cold power again, amputation again, 1B, and once again there's only one piece of tissue in this block. Obviously we're dealing with a dummy case here, so we don't actually have tissue involved. And then we go from there over to microtomy. Okay, so here we've come on to what we call a microtome. And we're cutting tissue at 3 microns to be able to get it on a slide and then consequently stain that with a stain that allows the pathologist, like Richard, to be able to look under the microscope and diagnose. So here I'm going to demonstrate how I'm bringing up one case, and it's told me that the cassette's not embedded. So that's just telling me that the previous step hasn't been done, and that's really important for us to know where things are in the system. I'm going to override that here for the sake of this one, and we'll see that the case is brought up. Now, if I was to put this particular specimen down and pick up another specimen from another patient, in this case it is still called cold power, and scan it in, we'll see that the computer system doesn't allow us to do that. So it's not allowing us to reproduce the different patients' tissue with the same test. So here, there's no way that I can actually continue. I have to start to tell the machine my instructions as to what we're doing here. So I'm going to cancel out of that and go back to the original cassette. Pick that up here and we'll start cutting. Now we have a unique 2D barcode for every specimen, and with the slide here we also have a unique 2D barcode just with a name and a number on that. I'm going to place the tissue on the slide, and then the system also requires me to confirm that that slide has been selected, has been cut. So we'll see here the system produces a little image along the way, so we can see that the cassette, which is here, was blocked, that it has tissue in it. We can also see the slide here with the barcode to show that the barcode has been printed, that the slide has been registered, and that there's a piece of tissue in a tick to say that the case is complete. So that line's done.
That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have any news, including your own video or photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amy Forrest. Have a wonderful evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.